you guys about planning for 2024 and making sure that we're using AI and figuring out how to use it effectively. We've got a jam-packed session I plan on going through today. I want to encourage everybody, if you've got questions and things like that, feel free to put them over in the comments and I will try to get to them. We'll do our best. We're going to dive right on in. And I'm going to just dive in the presentation. Can everybody give a quick thumbs up? Can you see the presentation? I want to make sure everybody can see the presentation and I'm sharing the screen properly. All right, fantastic. That's good to know because sometimes it doesn't work that way. All right, so let's dive on in here. We're going to talk about how we can leverage AI and how we can master AI for 2024 to really dominate our competition. And let me start just a little bit about telling you who I am. Some of you know me, some of you don't. If you don't know who I am and you're wondering why in the world am I listening to this white bearded guy talk to me about AI, well, hopefully this will give you a little bit of background. So I'm the founder of Whitebeard Strategies. We're an AI assisted marketing agency. What that really means is we help our clients create content, but we use AI to do that. I like to call it human curated AI assisted. We're going to talk today about a lot of different things. And one of the things that I'll talk to you about is not to totally trust AI to copy and paste everything it does, but we'll talk about that a little bit today. I also run one of the largest Facebook groups that I'm aware of on Facebook for AI prompting, and that's called AI Prompts for Entrepreneurs. We're over 11,000 people, quickly going in on 12,000 entrepreneurs, and we have a ton of conversation there, so I've learned a ton. I'm also an AI contributor, I'm sorry, to Social Media Pulse, which is one of the largest organizations of social media managers in the world. I'm also a virtual and fractional, what we call chief AI officer for multiple clients in both the US and in Australia. And that's I do through my Whitebeard Strategies. And last but certainly not least, I'm guest speaker on a number of AI prompting topics, currently just in the last 4 months with over 53 speaking engagements booked. So it's not about me, but just so you go, who am I? That's a little bit about me. What I want to start with today is I want to start talking about the tools. I don't know where everybody's at as far as AI, as far as your level of familiarity. So I really want to dive on in here and make sure we're setting the groundwork and you guys know what tools we're talking about. We're going to really talk primarily about the text-based tools today, that being ChatGPT, Google Bard, and Claude 2. There's a lot of other tools we could talk about, especially on the graphical side, Midjourney and DALL-E 3 and others. We'll touch on a little bit of that today. In fact, all of the imagery that I have done is done in Midjourney. So if you guys are curious, where did those images come from? I used Midjourney, which is an AI graphics tool, to create all of those. So, but the three big things we want to talk about is especially for 2024 is how can we use these tools, ChatGPT, Google Bard, and Claude, to help us in our businesses and to help us leapfrog our competition. And my goal is that by the end of the meeting here today, we're going to have taught you some things that will help you do three things in 2024, possibly getting started yet in December. Number one, I want to teach you how to save time for both you and your team, because AI can save you a tremendous amount of time. The second thing I want to teach you how to do is ideas and topics on how you can increase your margins. Let's face it, inflation is expensive. If you went to the grocery store recently, we all have everything's costing more, and we want to make sure that we're talking about how we can improve our margins. While we're doing that, though, I also want to try to do what I call the trifecta, and it's while we're saving time and improving margins, I want to teach you how you can deliver more value to your clients at the same time. So you're going to keep them happier because you're going to improve your margins while you're delivering them more value. So three main tools, as I mentioned. First is ChatGPT. You can get there by going to chat.openai.com. What is ChatGPT? In my definition, it's a virtual encyclopedia. It's a data analyst. It's a researcher, and it's an artist. And we'll talk to you about some of that today. Google Bard, by far and away my least favorite of the three that I've got up here, mainly because it acts like a temperamental 3-year-old most of the time. In other words, you'll ask Google Bard to do something and it will do it once, and then you'll ask it to do it again later and it won't do it for you. And it's very, very frustrating. So that's definitely something that you may run into. At the same point in time, I want to tell you that it is absolutely fantastic at doing topic and keyword research. So I'm a digital marketer. We're going to talk about some digital marketing today as part of what we're going over, and Google Bard does have a place. I hope and trust it's going to get better. Claude 2 is something you may or may not be familiar with. It's probably ChatGPT's biggest competitor. It's actually by a company called Anthropic. It's very similar, except that ChatGPT or Claude does not have direct internet access to do the research it does, but it does do great data analysis. One of the huge benefits of Claude over ChatGPT is what we call its memory limit, or the amount of characters and context we can give it. We can give ChatGPT currently, and my numbers are approximate, depends on some details, but approximately 100 to 120 pages worth of information in a chat that it can remember and keep track of. Claude can take nearly 180 pages of content. So it has a larger content window. Most of us probably will never run into that, but if you want to maybe analyze a large PDF or something like that, that can come in. All of these have free versions and paid versions. I use the paid version on all of them. You do not need to. Only a few of the things we're going to talk about today required the paid version. The first one, and by the way, if you're wondering, what do I subscribe to first? I highly recommend ChatGPT for $20 a month. I can't imagine a better business tool value on earth. Literally, it's amazing. So let's start jumping right in with what are some of the secrets. I'm going to teach you three main secrets today, and I want to start with number one. The first one is everybody seems to be a little intimidated about how do I get started with AI? What do I do? Where do I use it? It's got all this potential. I read good things, I read bad things. Where do I start? Well, I want to start by reminding you that the key to AI is learning AI prompting, and that sounds a lot more intimidating than it is. What AI prompting really is just learning how to ask AI questions to get the responses that you want. And I'm going to give you one tip. If you want to sign off after this, you'll miss out on the bonuses. But this is all you really need out of this entire webinar, I'm going to give it to you right up front. Talk to ChatGPT just like you would a coworker. That's it. You wouldn't go to a coworker and ask them to write a memo for you without telling them what it was about or without giving them background information. You wouldn't go to somebody in your marketing team and ask them to create you a social media or an email campaign without, again, giving them some context. But yet a lot of people do that. They go to ChatGPT and they go to these tools and they just say, write me a social media post without any context. And guess what? They get garbage because they didn't give it any context. It's no different than if you're talking to a teammate. You have to give context and it'll do wonders for you. We're going to talk, and you've probably heard there are a gazillion AI tools out there. I'm going to be very unpopular with every developer in the world right now. Most of them are a waste of your time and money. Almost every course that I've bought, I guess you'd say that properly, every course I've purchased has been a waste of my time and a waste of my money. There are a few exceptions, but not many. I'll talk about a few of the exceptions if we have time. What I want to encourage you today is as we go into 2024, I really want you to focus on learning how to use Claude, how to use ChatGPT, and how to use Bard. Don't worry about all of the extras because most of them you simply don't need and are a waste of time. As I mentioned, I want you to think of AI as a member of your team and communicate with them like that. Here's the good news. As of about 3 weeks ago, you can even communicate using your voice if you want. So you don't have to type everything. You can literally on your Android or your iPhone, you can talk to ChatGPT and guess what? It will talk back to you. Not like your kids, but it'll actually talk back and give you feedback just like you're having a conversation. And so it's really amazing to do that. I also want you to remember that AI is what I call an easier button, not the easy button. I don't remember if it was Office Depot or Office Max, but one of them used to have, and maybe still does, has the commercial about the easy button. AI is not an easy button. It's an easier button. And what I mean by that is it can do amazing things for us, but it can't do everything. And I also want you to remember that ask questions and give instructions to AI just like you would a team member. I mentioned that right up front. Garbage in is garbage out. If you wouldn't go to your assistant or to a team member and ask them to do something, don't ask it of AI and expect to get good results because you won't. So here's some suggested uses, things that I think you should be taking a look at right up front as ways to maximize your value and ways to get started with what's happening. So you can use AI to proofread and improve your email communications. Ask yourself, have you ever gotten an email from a client and maybe wondered, man, how am I going to respond to this? I need to say some stuff, but I'm not sure the best way to say it. Well, now you know the best way to say it. You can ask ChatGPT and it's going to go ahead and give you that information. So it's a great, great way to do that. You can also create social media posts. How many of you think that maybe, and you don't have to answer, but maybe a couple more social media posts for your business would be a good idea? Maybe you could do a little better job of keeping your audience informed about what you're doing. Well, ChatGPT, and by the way, when I say ChatGPT, you can use any three of the tools I've mentioned. That's great at writing social media posts. In fact, one of the things I'm going to share with you today is actually a tool inside of ChatGPT itself that allows you to write amazing social media posts for your business. How about I can't talk today, standard operating procedures. How many of you guys have SOPs? And you know that if you have a good procedure and it well documented, then you can have a scalable business because other people on your team can do those. I'll give you a secret, not much of a secret because I share it, but I got diagnosed with ADD when I was 43 years old. That was just about 10 years ago. I'm really rotten at writing SOPs because I don't have the patience to do it. I'm good at understanding the overall objective of what we want to accomplish, and I'm really good at writing bulleted lists of we need to do A, B, C, D, and E. ChatGPT does a great job. If I feed that in to ChatGPT on almost any task you can imagine, whether it's how I'm going to cook a turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, or whether it's how I'm going to, handle Advent this year for Christmas, I can put that into ChatGPT with my outline and ask it to create a detailed SOP, and it's going to do that every single time, and it's going to be really, really good. Doesn't mean it's perfect. No, I want to set your expectations that you will have to do some editing, but it'll be really good. One of the other great things it does is analyze data. Have you ever gotten a large report, maybe a large spreadsheet, and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I going to go through this? How am I going to figure out what this says? Well, you don't need to wonder anymore because you can literally upload that file, spreadsheet, CSV, a PDF. You can upload it directly to ChatGPT, and now you can ask questions about that file. So imagine uploading in maybe an expense report for the year and going back and say, how much money did I spend on meals? And having ChatGPT be able to go through and identify the restaurants that you spent money, where you spent food, and help you figure that out. It's really incredibly powerful. You can brainstorm ideas. This is probably one of my favorite things. Because I've got ADD and I'm an entrepreneur, I've always got new ideas and I love to brainstorm about them. And ChatGPT is a great tool to help you brainstorm and figure out the good, the bad, and maybe the indifferent about your ideas. We can also use it to create images. Like I mentioned, all the images you see here on this presentation were created using either Midjourney or DALL-E 3, which is a service through ChatGPT that you can use. Those can be, by the way, great to use on internal communications. They can also be good to use on marketing. I think the most common question I'm asked in my Facebook group is, how do I create the Pixar-styled images that I use? Because I use these all over. Jeff Veal's on here. He can tell you that that's a type of image I use all the time, and that's helped and been part of my branding. You can also learn new skills. So let's say you or maybe a team member needs to learn something. I talked about this with a sales client the other day, a client of mine in sales, I should say, and they had a call coming up that afternoon with a client. They were relatively new in the position, and they're like, I don't know enough about this topic to have a conversation. I said, well, before the call, go over to ChatGPT and say, I need an overview so that I can be at least somewhat familiar with the topic before this call. They did that. They let me know after the call that in 15 minutes, they were able to get enough of a executive summary on the topic to know more than their customer did and to be able to come across as confident on that call. So it's a great way to learn new skills. It's also a great way to research your customers. If you're into marketing, and again, I am, one of the things we often wonder is, what are my customers thinking? Well, ChatGPT, remember, it's like this massive encyclopedia of all of the world's knowledge, or at least a lot of the world's knowledge. And if you want to find out what are 43-year-old women who live in Indianapolis, Indiana, thinking about paint colors, it can give you an idea of that. It can tell you based on research some of that information. And I just picked that out at random. It can do that on almost anything. So if you know about who you want to market to, and maybe you're trying to write a marketing campaign to figure out, how do I identify their pain points? How do I figure out how I can make their life better? Ask ChatGPT to help you. It'll do wonders. So that's secret number one. Secret number one, again, talk to it just like you would a teammate. Secret number two, use multiple prompts to get better responses. And what I mean by this is, so often when we get started using ChatGPT, what we all want to do is we want to ask it one question and we want it to solve all of our problems. When you have a conversation with a friend, with a teammate, with your spouse, family, friends, whomever, do you just ask one question and stop? No, you have a conversation. It's back and forth. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing with AI. You're literally going to start broad, it's what I recommend, and then narrow down. When ChatGPT responds and maybe doesn't give you the specificity that you want it to, ask it to clarify questions, ask it to clarify some ambiguities. You can request examples. Imagine you're talking through maybe how to plan a corporate event and it gives you an idea that you love, but you're, boy, I'm not sure how to do that. Ask it to give you examples, and it will literally give you examples that will pertain to the situation you're talking about. Another thing that I love, because again, I've got ADD, is when I need an implementation plan. Maybe I'm creating a digital marketing campaign, an email drip campaign for my clients, and I want to know what's the best way to implement it and what tools should I use. I can ask, and it's going to give me great, solid recommendations on what to do there. It's also great, by the way, we all are biased and we've all got different perspectives. If you want to get another perspective on what you're thinking or what you're talking about, AI is a tremendous way to ask for somebody else's perspective on that without having to be embarrassed by maybe saying you don't understand that. So it's great for that. How can you do that? There's a lot of ways I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to share some prompts. By the way, I will share this PDF with anybody that wants it when we're done if you want the presentation. And if you've registered at the link that I'm going to show you at the end, if you registered for reminders, I will send this out to everybody on that. If not, you can connect with me on social media and I will share this. But enhance team productivity. Imagine, provide some tips for improving productivity in a remote work environment. I'm looking at your backgrounds. Looks like a lot of you are probably working from home, not all of us. But if you've got remote staff or you're part of a remote staff, maybe you want to figure out a way to help with productivity. So that's where you start. And then based upon its answer, your follow-up question might be, which of these tips can be implemented using existing online tools? In other words, we don't want to buy more stuff. How can we do this? And then you could ask for another clarifying question, but can you suggest a weekly schedule, maybe a template that incorporates these productivity tips? So again, we're asking multiple questions, just like having a conversation. We're going to walk through these and that will help out. Maybe it's about developing a customer service portal. An initial prompt might be outline a customer service protocol for an online retail store. And then we can follow that up with how can this protocol be adapted for handling high volume periods like the holiday season we're in? And then we can even ask, could you provide example scripts for our common customer service complaints? Imagine if you have common questions, frequently asked questions that come up from your customers, and you could give your customer service and sales team all of those questions and recommended answers that they could follow. It would really help make sure you guys stay on brand and on point. Maybe it's about planning a corporate event. I mentioned to you guys earlier, we could do that. And again, you can see there's a series that we can go through. AI secret number 3. So first, talk to it like a human. Number 2, have a conversation with AI. Don't just ask one question and expect to be done. And number 3 is act as an expert or a famous person. Why do I say expert or famous person? Because this can dramatically change the answers you get out of it. If I'm, for example, if I'm analyzing my website and want to get SEO advice for search engine optimization, I can go to ChatGPT and I can tell it, you're acting as an expert in search engine optimization. Then I can ask it, analyze my website and make recommendations on things I can do to improve my search engine rankings. I'll get better answers than if I just say, analyze my website. I'll get answers both ways, but when I say act as an expert, it's better. Maybe I need to write a memo and I can say, write as or act as an expert copywriter who specializes in writing memos to staff or to clients. Maybe I'm trying to create social media posts. And again, I can say, act as an expert social media copywriter, and it'll do that. The other option is act as a famous person. And this is actually a lot of fun as well as productive. So I'll tell you a little story. In my agency, we help businesses and individuals create what we call topical authority. That basically means that they're seen as the go-to expert in their niche. And I had a lot of questions when I got started about, Jonathan, what is topical authority? It wasn't something, if you're outside of the digital marketing industry, you probably understood. So I used ChatGPT to go out and create a number of short stories for me, literally micro stories, videos that I could do in about 2 minutes. And one of my favorite was, in the style of Abraham Lincoln, please tell me what topical authority is if he were living today, and write me a short story about how Abraham Lincoln would develop his topical authority in 2023. And I got a great 2 to 3 minute short story referencing Abraham Lincoln, included a couple of four scores and so many years ago and other things that were pertinent to that, and brought his characteristics into that writing. You can do that with historical figures. You can do that with popular figures. You can do that with all types of things. And that'll change the tone and the style of what you're doing. Maybe you have a particular literary style that you like and you want to follow, or maybe as you're writing an SOP, you want to make sure you're following certain rules and systems. And I apologize, I didn't do great in English class, so I don't remember some of the style guides that are out there, but I do know there are different style guides that editors and that writers use. While it's writing content for you, or writing an email, or writing a blog post, or a memo, or an instruction sheet, you can have it follow those rules by just referencing it when you ask. So I'm trying to think of a good example. Let's just say I was looking for advice. I remember growing up, I don't know if she's on the radio anymore. There used to be a radio host called Dr. Laura Schlesinger, and she was a psychologist that gave advice. I can go to ChatGPT if I like Dr. Laura, and I always did kind of like her blunt style. I could go and say, in the style of Dr. Laura Schlesinger, please answer the following question. And it would do its best to use the information it had about her as well as her style to give me a candid and straightforward answer to my question. So, Nikki, I agree with you. ADHD is a superpower. Thank you for that in the comments. I appreciate it. So, next thing we've got is some examples of this. So, how to do that for expert analysis? Let's say, for example, I want to say, assume you're a leading digital marketing expert. Analyze the current trends in content marketing for small businesses. And I could even make that better. Let's say I'm a chiropractor. I could say, for chiropractors, and suggest 3 innovative strategies for me. That prompt is, again, you're basically telling ChatGPT what part of its knowledge base to use. So it's not wondering as much. It's not guessing. It's going to do a better job of getting that in there. Another example could be tone and style. Example, write a motivational message to my team using the style of Tony Robbins about embracing change and digital transformation. So maybe you're going to get done with this webinar today and this workshop, and you're going to go, wow, I need to introduce AI to my team. How do I do that? Well, go to ChatGPT and say, I want to introduce AI to my team in 2024. I'd like you to write a motivational message in the style of Tony Robbins, telling them how AI is going to make their jobs better. And guess what? It'll do it. Another one, maybe historical perspective. So I mentioned what I did with Abraham Lincoln, but maybe you wanted to talk about ethical AI usage and you wanted to bring in Steve Jobs. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but we can say, explain the importance of ethical AI usage in the style of Steve Jobs, discussing innovation and responsibility. And again, it's going to bring that perspective in. We talked a little bit about literary styles. Maybe you're an Ernest Hemingway fan. You can have it write in the same style as Ernest Hemingway. You can also famous speech styles. So maybe again, we're trying to motivate. We can compose a company-wide memo on embracing these innovative technologies in the style of John F. Kennedy's Moon speech, focusing on setting ambitious goals and working together to achieve them. And ChatGPT is literally going to weave in that style and things like that to mimic that, not in a total plagiarism perspective. It's not, but imagine, for example, that you were watching a speech on TV and it motivated you to write a speech or write a memo for your team. In the same way, that's how AI operates. It's not going to plagiarize John F. Kennedy's Moon speech and use it word for word. It's going to use it as inspiration to create the content that you've asked. So with that, where do we get started? What do we do? How do we want to start? So here's some ideas. And again, I'll share this presentation with you so everybody will have access to these. But customer service, imagine automating responses to frequently asked questions. I think we talked about that a little earlier. Giving your customer service team a list of FAQs that when you know they're asked regularly, they don't know how to answer. Here's the answers to those. Maybe for market research to generate some prompts and analyze market trends. So if you're an investor, for example, you could literally go in and download the latest trend data from your broker, or that you may have if you are a broker, and you can ask ChatGPT to analyze that data and forecast the things that may be coming up. Is it going to be right? Well, probably not any more than your broker, but it may give you some great insights that you hadn't thought of. This is especially true when it comes to data analysis of large volumes of data. One of the coolest stories that I've heard about AI, and I've heard a lot of them, has been researchers are using AI to look back at decades worth of research data and having AI analyze that data to come up with additional conclusions. And I just read the other day about a potential new treatment for diabetes that wasn't found because AI did new research. It was because they gave AI the research that's already been done on diabetes and had it evaluate that and come up with suggestions. And it was able to make connections that we, for whatever reason, hadn't thought of as humans. And now they're testing those to find out if they're going to prove to be true. It's really cool in my mind that we can do those type of things. One of the things as a marketer we always talk about is content creation. You can use AI to create blog posts, social media content, press releases, sales scripts. You could create more sales scripts. You can do task list management. If you're like me, you've got an overwhelming task list, and this gives you the ability to literally get into that task list and have it help you manage that for you. Some other things, we've talked a lot about data analysis so far. We can give it meeting summaries. So one of the things that I love to do, in fact, I do with AI regularly, is I make sure that I'm recording and putting on the notes, taking a transcript from that meeting. Afterwards, I can take that transcript and I can feed that into AI and have it identify actionable things that I needed to be focused on, things that I needed to do. So it's a great tool for that. Project proposals. It can draft outlines and help you write proposals. Very good for that. For training materials, one of my favorite things to use ChatGPT for is to develop training materials and to be able to utilize it to create good, highly effective training materials. Also, we talked earlier about SEO optimizations. It's great for that as well. Social media strategy, website FAQs. If maybe you're wondering what FAQs should I be addressing? What frequently asked questions? This is a great way to do it. We just go ahead and you can go right there and you can ask ChatGPT and it'll give you some FAQs based on your audience that you should do. And even better, it'll give you the answers to most of them that you can edit as well. Maybe you want to do a competitor analysis. While I don't recommend we get too focused on our competition, sometimes it's nice to know what they're doing so we can do similar things. And we can use AI to go in and take a look at their website. We can upload their brochures if we have them in PDF format or anything like that. And we can give it a competitive analysis on what's happening. Event planning and feedback analysis. We can use it to create newsletters, to draft HR policies. Maybe you're at a nonprofit and you're writing some grants. You can use it for that as well. Crisis management. So if I needed to create a press release for that Zoom bombing that just happened here, you guys were part of it. You saw all of a sudden things went crazy. We had some bots or people, I don't know what was doing it, but causing all kinds of problems. I could literally go into crisis management and I could draft some initial responses and some communication strategies for handling that. In fact, I'll probably ask ChatGPT when we're done here what to do to avoid that in the future, because that was a little bit odd and weird. So those are all ways that we can do that. So I also want to give you guys a bonus secret. If you've stuck with me, I want to make sure you got this other bonus secret. And I'm going to show you this here in just a moment. We're actually going to go out to ChatGPT and take a look. And this bonus secret is if you're on a paid plan with ChatGPT, they offer something called custom GPTs. And these are so super cool because you can take all of GPT's knowledge and add in that your own company information. Imagine uploading sales materials, marketing materials, proposals, whatever you want to give it more information and context. Then you have a custom GPT, and I'll show you one in just a minute, that you can utilize for your operation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here, and let's take a look at a custom GPT here a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. You guys should now be seeing my overall screen. And what you're seeing in front of me is ChatGPT, if you're not familiar with it. So this is the general ChatGPT interface, and I can do anything. In fact, let's do a real life one here. I'm going to just say I'm running a Zoom meeting and just got Zoom bombed, if that's even a word, with a bunch of nasty videos and materials from attendees. How can I avoid this in the future? And it would help if I could type. By the way, if you haven't learned, if you're doing webinars and things and trying to type while you do them, it never seems to work very well. So let's say a Zoom bombing, it seems to understand, said I should enable a waiting room. Not a bad idea. It can control people who enters. Password protection. That's good. You know, something I did here that probably caused the problem is I went on my social media about 20 minutes before and said, hey, if you haven't, here's the link. Everybody can join. And that's probably where they got it. I could lock the meeting. That would mean the once expected participants were in, nobody else could. I can enable some security. I've done that and set that up so that there's much less here. And I apologize to you. That means there's less that you can do as well. But we will hopefully have an opportunity to deal with that here in a couple minutes and allow you guys to get in and share your questions. So again, this is an example of how you can use that. But we were talking custom GPTs. So let me load up one of my favorites. It's called the Hormozi GPT. If you're looking at my camera behind me, you will see I have a blue book there called $100 Million Leads. He also did a book called $100 Million Offers. And Alex Hormozi is a very popular entrepreneur. And if I want to be able to get business strategy, let's say I want to ask Alex Hormozi how to do something, I can do it here in this chat. And by doing that, it gives me the opportunity to get a response as though it were Alex Hormozi. So let's just say I want to give free value to my audience. Let's say I'm a chiropractor. I'm not, but let's just for the sake of this say we are in, let's say Jacksonville, Florida. Give me some recommended free value items or info that I can share with my prospects. And now using Alex Hormozi's style and all of the information that ChatGPT has, it's actually now searching its knowledge base. So there's been documents, his books, for example, have been loaded up here and everything else. And now it's giving me a response, but a response that is heavily seasoned with Alex Hormozi's personal opinions or likely what he would say. Obviously, they don't know, they're not asking him, but they're using his books and things like that to be able to tell me. And it's giving me some really good ideas here of things that we could use. The benefit here of custom GPTs is the fact that you, for your business, for example, could create a custom GPT that had specific information to your business. And you can make these private if you want, by the way. So imagine having one for your customer service team that was available for your customer service team to utilize. I have one of these for Whitebeard Strategies, by the way. We do make it public, but that you can ask if you want to learn how to be an expert at digital strategy or topical authority. You can ask questions and not only get information from ChatGPT, but it's heavily seasoned with our personal perspectives. Another one that I love is the Viral Social Visionary. You can go in here, and this is one, by the way, I'll share with you in chat that you guys can utilize. And this allows you to create amazing social media posts and to do so really easily. So let me get up into the chat window here a minute and share that with everybody. I'm hoping you can see the chat window, even though I've had to turn that off. So hopefully that will resolve that and you guys can do it. But these are custom GPTs. And the really neat thing about this is you don't need any programming experience at all to create a custom GPT. In fact, all you do need the paid version, but once you do that, I can click up here and say create a GPT, and now you get two sides to your screen, the create side and the preview, and literally ChatGPT is going to walk you through. All you need to do is answer your questions over here, and it will automatically deal with that for you. So bear with me, we've got some new people coming in. I'm just making sure everybody is muted. There we go. If you're just joining in, by the way, I have had to turn off virtually all of the interactions in order to keep out some of those Zoom bombers that we just had on. So I apologize. We'll give it a few more minutes and we'll turn things back on, and hopefully we won't have any more issues. But we're talking about custom GPTs. If you're just joining us, they're so easy to set up because ChatGPT is literally going to walk you through. And again, you can now upload information. You can create a custom GPT that's just for your business if you want, that allows you to do that. And it's so cool. Another one that I did is I actually did one recently for my church. They wanted to be able to create social media posts and have their volunteer team be able to create posts that had the same overall sound and tone to them. And so we literally created a church media assistant here that allows them to use, people that are volunteered at their church can use this, and it creates social media posts based upon the parameters of that church, so then they know everything's happening in a good way. So again, custom GPTs can be really absolutely amazing. All right, so we looked at those. We looked at Hormozi, the Whitebeard, and everything else. ChatGPT themselves even has a lot of those. Let me share one of those with you. If you go down into load more here, you can see by ChatGPT. Some of these up here are ones that I've done, but there's one ChatGPT. If I want to learn how to be a better negotiator, and this says, I'll help you advocate for yourself and get better outcomes, become a great negotiator. And so maybe you want to negotiate, maybe you don't own a business, but you need to negotiate a new salary, or maybe you want to buy a car. I can literally go in here and say, prepare me to negotiate a car purchase. And it's now going to walk through using its knowledge base to help me negotiate the purchase of that car. I won't go through the whole process here, but hopefully you can see from this how beneficial it can be to have those types of things in place. All right, let's go ahead and change my share back to the presentation here. There we go. Make sure I've got everything. There we go. Everything should be set. So the secrets we just covered today, before we got so rudely interrupted, is one, AI prompting. It's the key to really leveraging AI for your business. And I want you to talk to it as you would a coworker. Number two, I want you to use multiple prompts. Have a conversation with people. That's how it's going to work best for you. Number three, I want you to act as an expert or act as a famous person in order to bring the most value to what that and get it to speak in the tones and styles you want. And then if you've got the paid version, I want you to think about leveraging the style of custom GPTs and use that. Most importantly, though, what I really want you to do is I want you, if you're not already using AI, I want you to start using it today. That's something I highly recommend. So what are the next steps? We're going to do a Q&A here in a minute. We're going to cross our fingers that all the spammers are off. If not, we'll have some fun. But before we do that, if you have gotten any value out of this and you'd like to learn more about AI or just start your journey towards leveraging AI in your business so that you can be more efficient, that you can increase your margins and you can deliver more value. There's so much to cover. And obviously in the 45 minutes we've been doing this, I can only cover so many things. But I want to welcome you to go, if you just go to, by the way, to jonathanmast.com/linktree, that URL, it has links to everything that's in here. But for sticking with me through the webinar, you can get free access to my Facebook group. Just request that access and I'll let you in for free. We talk about every day different aspects of prompting, from text-based prompting to how to have fun with ChatGPT and how to create images with it. Again, over 11,000 entrepreneurs in there that you can join. Number two, I'm going to make available to you for free 187 plus prompts that you can download for your business. So if you're wondering, where do I get started and how do I do it? This literally will have that for you. I'm going to put this over again in the chat window. Hopefully you guys can see this. You can click on that link and that'll bring you right there. I also, as a special thanks and now super special for putting up with that bombing we just had here, if you put in the code or just save the code, because I haven't published the book yet, but I am publishing a new book in January, AI for Entrepreneurs, and I'll give you guys a free digital copy of that book if you use the code FREE AI 2024. Just remember that code. When the book becomes available, I'll be putting it out on my social media. I'll be putting it out on LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it. If you're on my email list, you'll get it. You can use that free code and get a free digital copy of my book. And if you want a replay of this after it's edited, because we're going to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff there when we got Zoom bombed. If you want a replay of this, just go to go.whitebeardstrategies.com/registration. It's going to tell you to register to get a replay and to register for this. But any emails that are in there, I will make sure to give the replay. And I'll also, again, as a reminder, be sending a copy of this presentation out to everybody that's in there and making that available. So with that, it's time for Q&A. And I want to ask everybody here if you're easily offended. Not that I'm going to be offensive, but we obviously got bombed by a bunch of people here with a bunch of weird stuff a minute ago. I'm going to turn on the chat and it may come back. If it does, feel free to leave, or again, I'll do my best to keep things blocked. Doing the best I can here, but I am going to turn on chat and that may cause some problems. If we do, let me know. What I'd like you to do though is if you have any questions at all, ask them in chat and I will respond and we'll make sure we deal with them. So I'm going to turn chat back on. You guys should now be able to go in, and I'd love to see if you've got anything you'd like to share, any questions. I'm going to hang out here for a good 10 minutes or so. Jeff, thank you for letting me know that chat is working. We're going to cross our fingers that those bombers are gone, but if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. How to use chat for lead generation in your business? That's a great question. So what I would recommend doing for Chat GPT there, and let me go ahead and share my screen. Uh, Good question. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Suli. If you are not already a paid subscriber, it is currently closed. That is OpenAI's paid program is currently closed. It should be opening up, I'm hearing, yet in December. I hope that's accurate, but I don't know for sure. In the meantime, the free version is, and I highly recommend Claude. It's great. So Sabrina for images. I use Midjourney. And I use DALL-E 3. Let me show you real quick how to do that. I will also make sure I don't forget the question from V Tobin here. So I'm going to go into ChatGPT and we're going to have it create some leads for us or help us do some leads. So you'd ask in here, how do I use chat for lead generation? Well, one of the best ways to do that is to understand your audience. So let's do a hypothetical. And I'm going to say, I'm a chiropractor in Jacksonville, Florida. I need new patients. And again, you can change this around to put in your relevant information in here to work for you. Please give me 5 free marketing ideas. Don't have to be free, but we could. That I can use to get new patients in my office. And let's see what it tells us. So this, as I mentioned, is one of the things I love is brainstorming, and this is a great way to do it. Yeah, Jeff, I agree. Some great questions coming in. These are fantastic. So keep them coming in, everybody. It seems like the bombers have given up on us. We're going to keep our fingers crossed if that's the case. So let's see here, community engagement through educational workshops. So again, if I'm a chiropractor, that's great. I'm doing a webinar here. You as a chiropractor could do the same thing, offer free educational workshops. You could also go out and do those like in local community centers, gyms, or even like we're doing here on Zoom. Leveraging social media. You can use social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, where your audience is and post valuable content. One of the best ways to generate leads, in my opinion, if you haven't, by the way, read it, definitely encourage you. Read this book up here, $100 million Offers. If I can point to it, there it is. $100 million Offers by Alex Hormozi. Fantastic book. And he talks there about how you can give away value, your information, your expertise. And I know a lot of people go, I don't want to give it away because somebody's going to take it and run with it. I've been giving away free information and the stuff I do, literally sharing all my secrets for years. While somebody may have replicated bits of it, no one's ever stolen everything I do, and people still do business with me because of who I am and the value that I bring. By giving away that value, as it's recommending here in number 2 and number 3, and number 5, actually, you're going to create credibility. And when you create credibility, people are going to want to work with you. So that's great. So let's just say we like this and we want to know on the social media how to do more. Remember, we talked about asking follow-up questions. So let's just say, let's say, give me 5 ideas for social media posts that would engage my audience. And we'll just remind it in Jacksonville, Florida. And let's see, we're going to come up with a few things here. So it tells us, again, not a surprise. While it's thinking, it gives us accolades a lot. So generating that content is really valuable. So here's a great one. Did you know series about chiropractic care? So imagine you're a chiropractor and you create a series of posts with interesting facts about chiropractic care and its benefits. Maybe a local spotlight where I literally talk about local landmarks, events, businesses, things like that. Testimony Tuesdays. There's another great one. Share patient success stories with their permission, of course, on Tuesdays. Here's a great one. A wellness challenge. doing a 30-day posture challenge where you share daily tips for improving posture, interactive Q&A session. So one of the things I do, and I try to do it every Wednesday at noon Eastern, don't make it every week, but I hold an Ask Me Anything session where literally anybody can get on and ask me anything. And that, believe it or not, generates new opportunities for me as people ask me questions. So that's it. The other question you asked was, somebody asked was about how to create images. So one of the easiest ways to do it right here within ChatGPT. So let's just say, create me an image. Let's call it an animation for use with the 30-day posture challenge. And let's see what it does. It's going to go out here, and ChatGPT knows when I say create an image, it's going to go out and use what I did. See there, it says creating image, and it's going to go ahead and create that. While it's thinking, I'm going to look back at the chat here. How do you use and create GPTs that are now available for the paid version only? So, Suli, you need to have the paid version in order to create them. And what you do, and we'll show you here in just a minute, over on the side, you click on the Explore tab over here. And that does it. But let's go back to the image. The image is ready for us. So here you can see AI has now created this image, and I can click on it and make that substantially larger. I'm hoping you can see that pop up in my window when we're sharing that. And that I could, now you'll see the text isn't perfect. And that's a problem with all AI-based stuff. Text isn't perfect, but I could utilize that with a little bit of work, maybe bring it into Canva and make some changes. And now I'd have a great thing. And it did get my posture challenge right. Got transform your posture, transform your life. It's got an extra E. That'd be easy to fix. So again, a great graphic. And by the way, Microsoft, who owns part of ChatGPT, and OpenAI have confirmed you can use these images for commercial purposes. So those are a great way to do it. Jeff added another great suggestion in there, by the way. He said, if you're trying to generate leads, another great way to do that is to create a Facebook group that's targeted at your audience, the people that you want to connect with. And it's a tremendous way to do that. I definitely encourage you to do that on a regular basis. And then invite people in, and then use AI tools to create some of that helpful content that you're going to put in there. So Suli, you'd asked about how do we create those custom GPTs. So we go to the Explore menu here. When I click on Explore, you're going to see any custom GPTs you've created right there. And then I can also go to create a GPT. So real quickly here, I said I was going to share this viral social visionary. If you have a paid program, you can go to this. I'm going to share this in the chat, and you can go ahead and access that and use that for free. There's no cost to that. But if I want to create my own, I just go again to Explore and create a GPT. And now I just walk through and answer these questions. It'll take you through a lot of series. There's also a configure tab up here. And as I do that, it'll literally walk you through step by step. You do not need to be a programmer to make this work. It works just fine. I've created all of these, and I do not know how to do programming. So thanks for letting me know that worked. So guys, we've got a few more minutes. If you have any other questions, great questions, by the way, so far. You guys have been in a great group, and I appreciate that. So yeah, if you don't see the chat, by the way, if you click on your Zoom menu, by the way, there's a chat button down in the bottom. You can click on that, and that will bring up the chat window, and you can see it. You're welcome to put anything in there, and I will make sure that we have an opportunity to share that, answer any questions. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and just change my share. Guys, I want to really thank you for your time today, not only for joining us, but for putting up with getting Zoom bombed. Literally, I've done hundreds, maybe thousands of Zoom meetings, and I've never once had that happen. So that's a brand new experience for me. And we'll definitely make sure we figure out how to fix that next time around. But again, I will be making that replay available as well. If you want that replay, just go to jonathanmast.com/linktree. Follow the links on there. You can download my free guide to 187 plus prompts to your business as well. And I'm going to hang out here. Sabrina, thank you for the kind words. Suli as well. I appreciate those. It means a lot to me. If there's anything else we can do for you, I'm going to hang out for another 5 minutes or so. If you got questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and we will be more than happy to answer those for you. I thank everybody. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the kind words. So greatly appreciated. With that, everybody, I want to say thank you again. You've been a huge blessing to me today. I appreciate the kind words. Make it